What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is the day we're gonna try to bring the paint on the 4Runner back to life. This paint is in pretty bad shape. It's not been taken care of at all. It probably hasn't even been waxed in the last 5 years. But today we're gonna try to bring it back to life, get some shine, get it smooth, and we'll see what we can do. So here it is. This hood feels like sandpaper. I don't know what is on top of it, what is stuck all over this paint. I hope that the clear coat isn't cracked. It's kind of hard to tell, really. It just looks like little tiny dots everywhere, but it feels like it's on top. And then there's just a lot of scratches, especially on the other side. This side isn't too bad. Let's go over here. You can see there's pretty good scratches in it. You can see that. And then right back here, there's a bunch of crap on it. I don't know what that is. Should come off no problem with a bit of a buff. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna clay bar the whole thing. The clay bar helps get everything on the surface off. So you don't want to start buffing without clay barring it, because everything on the surface is going to end up in your pad, and then you're just going to continue to scratch, put more scratches into the paint. So that's what we're going to do first, clay bar the whole thing, and then I'll show you guys what I'm doing for the buff. So here's what we're using for clay bar. This is just the McGuire's clay bar. It's really just some clay, so we'll take that with some surface detailer or even just soapy water, some sort of lubrication on the paint, and we'll see what we can get off with the clay bar. All right, we are done with the clay bar. So what you want to do is just run that clay bar on the paint until it feels smooth and you don't feel any more crap on top of the paint. This hood is still really rough. We're gonna have to see what buffing it will do. Hopefully that'll come out. The next thing I want to do before we start buffing is pull these badges off. So I'm just gonna rip them off. You might need a little heat gun. No, it's come off pretty easy, just like that. And then you're left with the glue, and I have a little eraser wheel that will pull that glue off really easy. You just stick it on a drill and run it on there, and it pulls that glue and everything off. And then we'll clean it with some acetone. All right, badges are off. Here is the eraser wheel. This is basically like a 3M wheel, but it's a little bit different. Actually, my brother Cameron sells these on primemx.com. Go check it out. But basically, you just spin it like this, and it grips onto the adhesive, and it pulls it off. So let's get this glue off. Well, that's about as far as I can get. The rest of that's probably gonna have to buff off. So hopefully that is all on top of the paint and will buff off. This one down here came off pretty good. So let's go check out what we're using for buffing. So this is a 3-stage buff. This is the first step here. This is a wool pad with, this is all pressed to compound, so that's a step 1 compound. And then you move to a foam pad with the step 2. And both of these you use with a rotary buffer, and then you switch to a DA to do a final polish. And I have used a swirl remover. It does work pretty good. I'm gonna try this polishing cream and kind of see what one works better. This just helps get all the swirls out and the fine scratches from basically putting in scratches with the wool pad. So let's get the wool pad on the rotary and see what we can do. Alright, did a little test buff on the hood here. You can see it's a lot more shiny there than there. It's real hazy, but a lot of this stuff is like etched into the paint. You can see that it does not come out with a buff. So really the only way to fix that, I guess, would be to repaint it, and we're not going to do that. So we're just going to go through, buff it. It's going to look a lot better, and honestly outside it's going to look better than underneath shop lights. Everything always looks worse on your paint under the shop lights. So we'll buff it out and see how it looks when we're done. Alright guys, we got the first stage done on this hood, and it is not looking very good at all. You can see still everything is like etched into the paint. Does not look that great. I even sanded the front here, this section here, with some 2000 grit. It did smooth it out quite a bit, but you can see everything's etched into the paint and it does not come out. So I guess I'm just going to have to put my OCD to the side on this one, because I'm not going to repaint it. That's really what it needs to be nice. This area here, I did 2000 grit. I tried to sand this out. I sanded as much as I felt comfortable without burning through. And you can see it is still visible. I don't know what's going on. I think what happened is this thing just never had any wax on it. And anything that was on the surface really just etched into the paint. Even up here, you can see all these white spots like that. You can see all these spots. This does not come out. It's smooth now, but there's still that, it's like etched into the paint. So I don't know, I'm just getting really frustrated because when I do something, I like to make it perfect. And to make this perfect, like I said, you'd need a full paint job, and we're not gonna do that. So I'm sorry you guys don't get to see something perfect today. I'm just going to go through and buff it with the 3 stages and get it as best as I can, and we're just going to have to live with it. Alright guys, we are done with the first stage. So it's looking a little bit better, actually quite a bit better. It's actually got its shine back, which I'm stoked about. There's still some scratches that didn't come out. This side really is in pretty decent shape, but these badges did not come out at all. You saw me, I tried sanding this one and it's smooth, but it's just, I don't know if somehow the glue etched into the paint. I'm not really sure. So we're gonna have to figure out something to put over that and on this side as well for right there. So I'm not really sure why that happened, but here's the other side. Could use a little bit better wipe. See, some scratches like that I couldn't get out. That's not even a scratch. That's this crap that was on it, and it seriously etched into the paint. Like I said, I sanded this one quite a bit and it still did not come out. So that's something we're gonna have to live with. So now we got to jump on the foam pad here with this one here, the step 2 for the buff on the rotary. We'll go through that. That will give it a little bit more shine and get out the scratches that you put in, all the swirls that you put in with the step 1. All right, we are done with stage 2. It's looking a lot better really than I thought it would. Obviously, all the big stuff like the hood, all the big damage isn't looking any better, but it's got shine back. It's looking really deep and dark and glossy, so super happy with that. Now we got to run the dual action buffer, like I said, with just a polishing pad. And I'm going to start with this Malco polishing cream. We're going to see how that does. So I'm just going to do a panel, bring it outside, look at it in the sunlight, make sure there's no swirls. And what I've found with this dual action and a polish, it's such a fine pad and a fine polishing cream that you really have to crank it up. So I run it like 4. I think it's 1 through 5. No, 1 through 6. I was running at about 4 just to give it some RPM and get this to actually do something. I've done it on a low RPM like 1 or 2 and it really doesn't do much. So you have to crank up the speed on it and get it working. All right, we got her outside. So I just did this passenger front door with that final polish, and hopefully you guys can see on the camera, it is quite a bit clearer, deeper, and just a lot less, you know, swirl marks than even the door and the front fender. So that stuff does make a pretty good difference. So I think I'll hit the rest of the 4Runner with that same Malco polish. Seemed to do a pretty good job out here in the sunlight. I don't really even see any swirls in it. I can see some in the front fender. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on the camera, but here in person you can see some light swirls. It's not too bad, but then you get to the door, nice and clear and no swirls at all. All right, we are done with the polish, looking good. So now we just got to throw some wax on it. What I use is this Meguiar's Next Generation wax, and then I just put this Hex Logic pad right on the dual action buffer on a low speed, load it up with wax, and it spreads a lot faster and easier. One thing I want to do before that is the badges on the back. I want to paint those. I still have them. They were intact. I didn't break them, pulling them off, except the one, that's the little one that said Toyota right on the bottom here. This one broke, but luckily you can barely see it, so I'm not worried about that. The SR5, the 4-wheel drive, and the 4Runner badge came off in one piece. So I'm gonna spray a little primer and some black paint on those. All right, we are done with the wax. One last thing we gotta do is get these emblems back on. So here they are after the paint job. So I'm just gonna take 3M double-sided tape and I guess just put on the back side and then cut out all these areas where, like on the inside of all the letters, it might take some time, but it'll look a lot better that way. So let's see what we can do. There we go, guys, badges are on, looking much better. So we are waxed up, we are 100% done, looking good. Honestly surprised at how well a lot of this paint looks. This whole side really looks pretty good. You can see the reflection there, it looks like a mirror. Stoked about that. The only thing that really bugs me is this hood. So I'm gonna keep my eye out. Maybe if I find a decent deal on a sport hood, I'll buy a sport hood for it with this little scoop, make it look a little better. But other than that, got a little couple touch-ups here, and then this is the only other spot that's really bad on the whole paint, is whatever that was on the paint did not come out. So all in all, not too bad, looking a lot better than what we started with. Well, that's a wrap, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know this isn't the fastest and most efficient way to buff. I know there's better systems out there. If you guys have experience with other systems, different techniques, different tools, let me know. I really want to get better at buffing, better at car detailing. But as of right now, it is so labor intensive. It takes so long. This 4Runner took 2 full days to complete. So, and that's not color sanding at all. When I did my Jetta, I color sanded the whole thing and it took like 3 full days. So if you guys have any ideas, have any better tools to use, definitely drop a comment down below, let me know. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.